are.
That's
Tiny.
Tiny screen.
Tiny screen.
So much
No
for
idea.
the big screen.
Yeah,
It's
no
about the
idea
size of
what's
a big postage stamp. Should say
Technical difficulties.
Should say forever in there. You know.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, thanks for joining us on Carteret COnnects, albeit on a small screen. I hope it's on a normal size screen for you guys. Mike McHugh here, Richard Clark there. Hey, we were talking during the show today on Coastal Daybreak about Disney Plus streaming service. Wonder if any of you out there have it. If so, tell us how much you're paying for it per month. I think it's about like $8-9 per month.
Yeah.
But,
I think it's $8.99.
But Disney's trying something new because we're kind of in this uncharted waters with the COVID-19, taking Mulan direct to Disney Plus streaming,
Direct.
which sounds great if you got Disney Plus streaming, but guess what? It's going to cost an extra $30 if you want to buy it, much like a pay-per-view would be on if you had cable and you want to watch a particular sporting event or whatever. You're going to pay a premium. How do you guys feel about that? Is that the wave of the future? Do you think?
That seems steep to me, but
I don't know. I mean, you know, if parents, and it's you know, it's geared towards kids, right? If it was going to be in the theater, if mom and dad, or even just mom, take herself and the 3 kids, get the popcorn, get the drinks, and maybe even parking if you're in a metropolitan area, you might be dropping more than $30.
oh, you absolutely would. But here's the problem with
Would
that.
you rather watch it at home in the comfort of your own living room?
Right. So why am I paying the same price? Here's my problem. To me, this is typical old style. Let's call it
The old model.
management,
Yeah,
money
the old model.
management
Right.
people trying to get the same thing for something that's different and hammer that square peg into the round
So what should
hole.
they do? What would
Because
they,
here's it.
what
Because
would
it
be-
shouldn't be the same. You know, I shouldn't have to pay for everybody. It's in my house. I shouldn't have to do that.
So
I'm just saying.
what would you say then? Disney should then just say, "Hey, it's our property. We're going to put it on our streaming."
I don't have a problem necessarily with the renting the movie for X dollars. I just think 30 is too much.
Oh, okay. So even if you have streaming, you got
Yeah.
Disney Plus streaming, and hey, Mulan's coming on. It's going to be dumping on
Right.
like we say with like Netflix has the next Breaking Bad.
I have no problem with
It's
that.
starting on this date, but it's going to cost you an extra
Right.
$5. You're saying you would pay that?
I think I wouldn't have a problem with them going up to say 15
You
for
just
a
think
brand
30
new movie,
you
and
think
then you
30
tier
is
it. As it gets a little bit older, you drop it to 5, and then it becomes free, like renting used to be.
It used to be like that. Yeah.
Yeah. The new releases were X amount. I have no
I don't know
problem
if
with
there's
that.
anything out there that would come on other than live events. And we kind
There's
of
nothing I'd pay $30 for in my own living room. That's crazy.
Uh,
Except a boxing match.
Well, we're kind of used to boxing doing, and they did pay-per-view when Tyson was boxing.
Yeah, they've been doing that for 30 years now.
Now, do you think something like that could NASCAR? 'Cause
No.
They couldn't do it.
No.
Why is that?
Not enough of a following to begin with.
Could they not say if NASCAR on NASCAR.com does not have a stream? Does not,
Yeah, you can watch it there.
It's piss poor though.
So
I
yeah,
watched
it's
it.
not
It's
great.
weak. Yeah. But could NASCAR, which owns NASCAR and they own the Daytona International Speedway, right?
Yes.
Could they say the Daytona 500 is the biggest race we have?
Right.
Could they say, okay, rather than it being on CBS, it's going to be on our streaming? And would you as a race fan say, okay, how much?
Yeah.
And they say $29.99, which is what Mulan is. It's actually $29.99.
I don't think any sport. They all have their own, except for NASCAR, have their own pay-per-view type setups. But I don't think any of them could do that.
I was trying to go around like the major sports. And
Right.
Okay, NASCAR's got Daytona. You're saying, no. It's down. Okay. How about golf, PGA? Could they say the Masters is going to be on PGA?
Maybe.
Really?
Maybe.
Yeah, 'cause I'm not-
only because you're got a different demographic.
Okay.
And I think they're the wild card.
And that's a 4-day. I mean, it's a 4-day
4-day event. See, that changes it too.
But it starts on. I mean, do they? And they. Here's what they would do. Okay, it's going to be.
Remind me,
X,
we need
it's
to
gonna
get
be-
back to golf and
It's,
then coverage.
it's going to be X dollars for the golf tournament starting Thursday through Sunday. For an added, whatever the amount is, you can watch it on Monday and Tuesday practice rounds, and then the par 3 on Wednesday.
And that's the wild card.
The a la carte.
Yep. That's the wild card.
I'm a golf fan. I love the Masters. Would I pay?
They pay 30 for it. That group would.
Yeah. You know why? Because they're paying how much for a badge? And it's limited. You can't get
And
on
that
to it.
and
You
that
can't
and
get
you're
on to
talking
it.
about a group that has more money. Period. It is.
So
it is.
NFL, we talk Super Bowl.
That's iffy. I think that's the only one of the majors that could probably try it and see what happens. And I think they probably have to include like the weekend prior to the Super Bowl, championship games.
Okay, yeah, so you could bundle in the AFC, the NFC.
The problem they're going to have is the same problem that people have with internet in general now. You cannot come back later and try to charge for something you were giving away for free.
Right. Yeah, we saw that. Well, we saw that in our old business, in the newspaper business, with the websites.
Yep.
Came out free. Came out of the gate.
It's hard to go that direction.
You get that paywall.
Unless your product is so good. The NFL, like I said, 50-50 on that. Because a lot of people do buy DirecTV now to just get that package. So maybe basketball and baseball couldn't do it.
They can't do it. You can't do it in the World Series.
Nope.
Can't do it in the NBA
nope.
7-game.
Your following's not big enough for that.
And then hockey, you can't do it in
no.
hockey. Okay. Figure skating. Actually,
the Olympics, though, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to jokingly, though. I mean, on figure skating, I mean, championship figure skating. I mean, it's a highly that's a rich demographic. And it's women. You know, would women? I don't think so.
Not for 30, no.
Not maybe, but whatever.
If you dropped it to 5, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, the Olympics, I think you might do it.
The whole landscape is changing. It's like what Ross, the producer of the show, said this morning. Is that we're building a ship at the same time we're sailing it, and I think that's the best description of what we're going through now. And this was all coming to a head, regardless of the pandemic or what. It was all moving in this direction. This is kind of giving it a little kick in the rump to say, hey,
that's right.
Let's try this stuff, because
that's right.
You're being able to experiment and try stuff without it being in normal times when you
have an excuse if it fails.
Now you got an excuse, yeah. Well,
that's why I think the businesses across the board, no matter what business you're in, if you're still trying to do the same thing you were doing 2 years ago, you're already behind. You're already behind.
It's interesting because you're right. And this is completely shifting gears like we often do on Carteret COnnects. We started talking about entertainment and Disney Plus, but I was reading a story yesterday about the airlines. Who has flown who's been on an airplane in the last 6 months? Nobody, right?
Right.
Okay, so who has flown in the air with the airlines over the last 5-10 years? It's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible from the point at which you start saying, I want to fly from this town to this town, and what's it going to cost?
Right.
And the fares all over the place.
All over.
And then you get on the plane and you say to somebody, "What did you pay? What did I pay?" And it's all different because the old model for airline pricing is historical. It's historical. And
that's right.
What this route has always generated. There's third parties that tell airlines how to price their flights.
That's right.
Versus the Amazon method of what is hot right now, and that's
right.
how they price their stuff. They're looking at now and extended into
and that's exactly what I meant by Disney charging $30 for Mulan.
They're looking this way.
They're looking at what they used to make on a blockbuster movie
Right.
and dividing it down to get to here. Where what they should be doing is the other direction.
So the airlines are saying, well, it's always cost from New York to San Francisco. This is what it's always been. But guess what? People aren't flying from New York to they're going New York maybe to San Jose. But
and look,
so that's where the action is. That's where the activity is. The Amazon model.
Yep.
So the airlines right now don't know what to do as far as pricing because nobody's flying hard.
At the end of the day, these businesses, and it could be small tweaks like I don't know at Chick-fil-A or somewhere adding the people outside, but these small little things that are changing the way they do it, are changing the entire landscape, and those people. Those business owners are going to be the ones to benefit in a year.
And you know what's funny too? Now we're kind of swerved into what the virus is doing, changing the landscape of everything from movies to sports to airlines. Again, reading a story yesterday about how now employers, and these are big employers, not so much mom and pops, they're saying that, you know what? It really isn't so bad that our staff is working from home.
Yep.
They're actually better people for it because single or mothers or families with children, are staying home and they're getting the job done, but they're also
there for their family and they're saving money.
And they may be a moment. Well, first of all, they're not having to drive into work. That might mean for some people an extra hour and a half. They're spending time with their children in that little downtime when they've done that assignment or that work, and they're waiting for a phone call back.
Yeah.
They're doing stuff around the house. It's not like they're gaming the system like, oh, so and so's working from home, and we used to back in the before time, Or say, hey, Stacy's working from home, just to use an example. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like she's really working.
And
Now
I'm sure there's
now
some of
it's
that
like
now.
you're saying Stacy's working from home and she's doing this, this, and this, and you know what? It's getting done.
Well, and here's also something to think about that. Like the business owners, the employees are the same. The older ones aren't adjusting as well to being at the house.
Yeah.
They're used to, when I'm at home, I'm over home and watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the younger ones, and when I say younger, I mean under 45. They are already used to some of this. So working from home has been a much smoother transition for them.
Yeah. I almost feel bad that I'm kind of moving out of the workforce at my age, but I can tell you what, I'm probably my next project is getting the home office back and uncluttered from all the paper, literal paper.
I will say,
saved
if
up
you're
over the years,
if you're looking at home, doing work at home, my personal advice, which is worth a can of paint, but is
full campaign.
Get a dedicated space.
Yeah. I have that. And so
We do not.
what you're
at my
saying
house.
is you can't just like, okay, the dining room table is going to be Daddy's work.
We're actually using the coffee table sitting on the floor, and it's horrible.
No, you need to have separation.
You need
I would
you
agree with
need
that.
somewhere to get. And I also think for a lot of people, I think the people that can get up and do what they're supposed to do and work like a whole day, they're in the minority with that work at home group. I think you have to, most people have to get up and kind of go through their normal, go take a shower, whatever it is, and then go to work kind of thing to keep it fairly normal for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, it's hard. And, for guys our age that, for 30 years you had that, like you said, it's a routine.
Yeah.
And then when you were in the uniform, whatever it was, whether it was tie and then it went into casual Friday and all that other crap, you had that ride in. And I always enjoyed that ride. 'Cause for me, it was always like a 30-minute of just time to just kind of collect my thoughts.
Right.
Just like you said this
I
morning.
do it.
You called me this morning driving in, and you were tailing me
I
about
remember stuff.
30 minutes behind. Yeah, and you're just driving, and that's when you kind of prepare for the work day ahead, or on the way home, collect yourself and like, you know what, I'm going to do Chick-fil-A tonight for dinner.
That's right.
Or whatever it is, and then thinking about the 5 basketball games you're going to watch.
One of the things I'm hearing from a lot of the women that are working at home is they don't feel like themselves because they're not putting on makeup every day.
Mm-hmm.
They're not getting dressed up every day.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably affected the women more than on some of the men. That's just my outside, non-scientific observance.
I think you're onto something, because I have a close friend who's a Mary Kay cosmetic leader, and sales are down. Doesn't help that you're wearing a mask either.
No, that's right.
The fact that you're staying home.
That's right.
But you know what? Innovation will come from that. And I said to this person, I said, you know what? Probably as we speak, Mary Kay and the other cosmetic companies are working on applications that you're able to put on that don't come off on the cloth.
That's
or
right.
some sort of touch up afterwards.
Oh, absolutely, they are.
But on the male side, I'm sure now we have the excuse why we look so shaggy. Business in the front, party in the back. Why our kitchen's a little ragged in the back is, hey, the barbershops. I don't know if they're open or not.
And that was one of the things that I've overheard several conversations, and the getting their hair, they hadn't got their hair done in a while, and they weren't putting on makeup, and they weren't getting dressed up, and and so they just didn't feel like themselves. They felt off.
Yeah.
I think over time that will adjust as well.
It will. It'll be interesting to see, and we're looking at this thing. God, we're looking at this thing each day. It's like Groundhog Day. Eventually, somehow, it will be behind us. But you're going to be looking in that 5 to 10, 15-year window and seeing college graduates coming out. Our own Karamia Valentine, when she graduates in 3 years. But where does she go in those next 10 years? And then see.
I promise you,
I'll be 74 then. But you'll be looking back and saying, this is what it did.
This is
how it changed.
My first bell is this. I think in 2 years, the companies that have adjusted technology-wise and, I don't know, stay-at-home-wise, whatever you want to call it.
Personnel-wise.
They're going to become the sought-after companies. And the companies that are stagnant with we got to go to the office, they're not going to be looked at. They're going to be,
legacy companies. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
They're going to start
it's
this.
Kind of like
your people will become less qualified.
It's going to be, imagine the push back in the day on the New York Stock Exchange floor. It was a it was written orders handed to someone, and all of a sudden these things called computers came into being, and they probably said, there's no way you can substitute a machine for a person on the floor. And look at the floor today. There's hardly anybody down there.
Yeah.
It's all high-speed computers.
And it's a mindset.
Yeah.
You're used to what you're used to, and because it's what you know, it's the most important thing. And telling somebody that what they've thought was important or what they've dedicated their life to is not now important is nobody wants to hear that. And so, they fight it. They fight it. But here's the thing. Mother Nature and time, they're undefeated. You will lose.
Yeah.
Look, there was a time when they said Kodak, the pillars of stock. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And
probably GM was probably one of them.
I don't remember GM, but I remember Kodak and Coca-Cola, and there was something else. Well, where are they at now?
Coke's still on there.
Coke's still hanging in there.
Kodak is completely, they're talking about making them into a pharmaceutical.
Yeah,
that's what they got.
That's what I'm talking about. And if you talk to somebody just 15 years, maybe 20,
IBM might have been the other one.
They would, but that's what I mean. It changes so much, and thinking that it's the most important thing because this is what you know, you got to ask yourself, am I really asking the right questions? I would be fearful as a business owner that I would be asking the right questions. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you had if you could, the magic wand, are you glad that you came out of college when you did? I came out in '83, or would I come out in 2023? I wonder what is, that's probably a good span. 1983 is when I graduated college, and for a kid that's in college now that's going to graduate in 2023, who would have the better career time? That's 3 decades, right? It's about 30 years, 40 years. No, it's 40 years. Is that right? 40 years out of college.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But
so, would I rather be, if I could change my life, would I rather be wanting to come out and forget about being younger, just what's ahead as far as the world goes? Were we better off living those last 40 years, or the next 40 years going to be better? You know what I'm saying?
Ironically, I'm sort of an optimist on that. I think it's probably the next 40, but and that's surprising, I'm sure.
And no one's
for you
accusing
to know
of being
me.
a Pollyanna.
Right, exactly.
I'm shocked when I just did the math there for a second. It's 40 years. Yeah, because we had this discussion
It's funny.
with Caddyshack that came out in 1980.
Yeah.
And then
well, go back to what we were talking about with thinking stuff was important, and it's not. When you came out, and to a smaller degree when I came out, you stay at a company for 20 years.
Yeah.
That's how you get your stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's completely the opposite now. If you've been at your company for 5 years, other companies will, if you are looking at you like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
It's that simple. And so, if that's flipped 180 degrees, what else has? Everything.
But what's funny? What's funny, and I didn't choose this career path. I'm glad I did, but it wasn't my choice. I went into commercial printing in '83. The first recession that I experienced was in 1990. That killed that company.
Mm-hmm.
7 years they were out of business. I went to another company and had a great run there, and that was in 1990, and they bellied up in 2000. Right, 2008.
You're
the Black Thumb.
Yeah, you're the kiss
I
of
wasn't
death.
there. I wasn't there at the end but they were commercial printing.
And then you went to the Daily News, and
I
they're
went to the Daily
essentially
News. That was
dead
my
now.
trifecta.
Yeah, they're
Seriously.
essentially gone.
Yeah, but look at the industries that I was in.
Yeah,
commercial printing. We had
which nobody in 30 years ago, nobody would have thought that would have died.
No. And
nobody would say
here's the funny thing about that. I know my mom's probably the only one listening to this now, but it was an industry that unless you knew what you were doing, unless you knew what it was, you had no idea what somebody did when they said I work in commercial printing. So we printed magazines, we printed direct mail, and that all the junk mail that came. Somebody had to print this stuff. We did it in Washington D.C., which was a paper town. That was huge. You would pick up. And this is why I did this because I was just up there recently. I was in Washington D.C. and I bought a Washington Post newspaper. $4 it cost, right? And I looked in the back in the classified ads, and it had 2 or 3 pages of healthcare jobs, and then 2 or 3 pages of tech, and that's it in the classified. When I was in commercial printing in the 80s and 90s, it was trade jobs. Printing would take up several pages of of jobs, for classified ads for jobs. That's where I found my job, in the classifieds of the newspaper.
Yeah.
You pick up the newspaper now. First of all, it was razor thin, and the only jobs they had advertised were healthcare and tech. The industry I went into that in 1983 was huge, and you would say, one day this is going to be gone. You say, you're crazy.
That's right.
You're crazy.
Look,
and it wasn't. It was great, and then all of a sudden,
it wasn't.
One day, it just went boom.
Look,
it went out of business.
One of the things that, and I would tell any young person, would be, do not let the limitations of the people before you keep you from doing something great or something you want to do. Because we're set, just like we were talking about. That guy would have told you, no, this is how we do the paper business, and it's going to be here forever. You got to hold it in. No, it's gone.
It was like that in our newspaper.
That's right.
The newspaper
That's right.
wasn't
You
going.
couldn't tell the newspaper people anything, the management, anything about what they were doing, how they run it, what they should be trying to do. They knew more than everybody else. Well, where you at now?
You pick up any newspaper out there. Most newspaper, the community newspaper here in Carteret County is family owned, and it has been since its inception.
It's different.
We're talking about the ones that are owned.
We're
by
talking about the corporate
funds.
ones, yeah.
And you pick up a paper today, USA Today, whatever. They've got ads on the front page, and I'll never forget that conversation.
Yeah.
Before the 2008.
We'll never
recession,
do that.
I said, "Are we ever going to put ads on the front page on the ears? That's the corner." They said, "Oh no, we're not there yet." Well, yet came in about 2 years.
Yeah, it wasn't even that long.
And then they just sold out. It's like top of that page and
it wasn't that long at the Daily News.
Yeah, no, it was
like 6
but
months.
they had their glory years, their glory decades, their glory century.
Yeah, when
just like where's the phone book in your house? You don't have one.
That's right, gone. Gone.
Where's the back page of the phone books. Back in the 80s and 90s, and even into the 2000s, those back pages that had the law firm on the back, even in a small market like that, you're talking
a lot of money.
6 figures.
Here's the thing.
6 figures to buy the back cover of the phone book.
Here's the thing. We can blame technology on some of this stuff, especially the paper, but really it's not the technology. It's the evolving of people's taste. Because it's still there. Yeah. If people want to read a magazine, it's still there to read. Yeah. Nobody wants to read it. They'd rather look at it a different way, whatever that way is.
I remember. we got to bounce out here because it's Friday, and I want to start filling this up with something different. Tea,
beer,
but no, iced tea. In the house, probably one of the most read periodicals that was either in your drawer or on a table was the phone book. Mm-hmm. And it was in our community was that thick.
Yeah.
And that was your.
We had two in Richmond. We had the white pages and the yellow pages.
That was your mobile device. Yeah. Hey, what's the number of the pizza place down the street?
Go look it up.
You didn't put in because you didn't have these things. You open the phone book and there's pizza. There's Salvatore's Pizza.
That's right.
That's it. 432-2821. Boom. Phone books.
Yeah.
There you go. Phone booths. Phone books.
It's
rotary
just
dial
like
phones gone.
It's like actual secretaries and talking to people on the phone. So many people text and email now that number has shifted. It used to be had to talk to somebody, email, text. Yeah. But it's like this now. Yeah. Right. And so what's happening to that person whose specialty was connecting calls or whatever?
Gone.
Right. You're gone. Yeah. And that's what I think that these businesses, they can figure out a way to maneuver around this stuff.
They still got to keep those people. For old guys like me, I had that experience with Spectrum. Mm-hmm. The storm knocked out our telephones at the office. We didn't have a dial tone. I called, went through the whole prompt, and nothing was what I needed. So I hit 0. Gentleman answered. Name was Lafayette. Helped me walk through it. And you know what his last comment was? He said, "Sir, in the future, you can go to spectrum.com/help. You get the same information." Basically saying, you can walk me out of my job here, but I know as long as there's old farts like you, I've got a job.
Maybe not, because it's a chat.
True.
Yeah, and he might be the guy on the other end doing double duty.
Yeah,
see,
sure, more or less.
I don't know how that works, but yeah.
Let's get out of here. Thanks for joining us.
We'll have a good weekend.
Yeah, and safe.